Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a very, very good afternoon. Our panel is ready, our moderator is ready, and I'm so sure all of you are as excited and ready as I am. So, topic that we're going to be talking on is delivering big stage lights and visuals. It is the first part of big stage series of panel discussions. We delve into the field of immersive lighting and visuals, a prerequisite now for contemporary concerts. Light engineers and visual jockey plays a very vital role now in giving the performing artist and their fans an experience to remember. There are a lot of principles and technologies to achieve that this panel will give you all the information that you need on them. So, ladies and gentlemen, our first gentleman is going to be joining us on the panel. I would want you all to give him a huge round of applause as we welcome him on stage. We have Antonio Marino. Can we have him, please? And can we welcome him by giving him a huge round of applause? He's a global sales manager, entertainment lamps, Osram. Antonio Marino was born in 1962 in Italy. After his technical electronic high school education, he joined Bocconi University of Milan, where he excelled highly in his academics. He joined Osram in 1992 and has always been in the lighting sector. So please be seated. Please be seated. During his tenure, he has updated the company's different rules in the entertainment market to ensure proper implementation of policies by all Osram employees for the sales and marketing, achieving revenue targets and market penetration, leading Osram's global responsibility of original equipment manufacturing in the entertainment market. Ladies and gentlemen, can we once again give a huge round of applause to Antonio Marino. जोरदार ताली होनी चाहिए जो लोग पीछे बैठे हैं, जोरदार. The second gentleman I'd like to invite on the stage is Mr. Gaurav Bhamre. Can we welcome him with a huge round of applause? Come on, ladies and gentlemen. He's the founder of Pixtron INC, visual rig manager, content producer, and projection mapping artist. Pixtron INC is the brainchild of Gaurav Bhamre, who believes in creating scenography for an environment, whether it's wedding, luxury cars, nightclubs, music festivals, or corporate events. Over the past 6 years, Pixtron services have been favored by major brands like VIP, Capgemini, Femina, Farhan Live, Myntra, GQ, Harley Davidson, Puma, Phoenix Malls, Jaguar, L'Oreal, Vogue, iBar, High Spirits, Hard Rock Cafe, Percept, Palladium Hotels, JW Marriott, Manish Malhotra, Modart, Lakme Fashion Week, and FBB Awards. Gaurav specializes in motion graphics, live visual mixing, visual jockeying, and projection, mapping on 2D or 3D surface areas, theme-based visual content development using 2D and 3D animation, visual consultancy, and hardware software rentals. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Gaurav Bhamre. The next individual I'd like to welcome you on the stage on the panel. Can I have Mr. Inayat Ali Samit please be with us? Mr. Inayat is a complete theatre person, acting, backstage, production, lighting, sound, lights, set designs, direction, conducting training programs and workshops. Inayat has been through the entire game during his 26th association in theatre. Ex-technician of Prithvi Theatre with over 200 distinguished productions to his credit. Inayat is today attending to reckon with the Indian theatre scenario. He was recognized as the best lighting designer of the year 2001, 2002 and 2004, 2005 by the state of Maharashtra. Despite wearing various hats, Inayat believes he has finds his peace solely in theatre. Can we once again give Mr. Inayat a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Now to welcome the fourth gentleman here to our panel. Can I have Mr. Nikunj Patel to join us right here, the founder of Studio Moibus. Studio Moibus is a multidisciplinary entity envisioned by Nikunj Patel that aims to experiment with creation inside the studio in live spectacle and experimental content using animation, music production, illustration, VJing production, mapping, installing art and graphic design. Moebius aims to act at the intersections of those practices and to fill in the gaps using design and collaboration. Moebius works closely with visual artists, musicians, writers, directors, VJs, music festivals, creative agencies and record labels with a large focus on creating original content. So ladies and gentlemen, can we give it up for Nikunj Patel, please? And can we welcome on stage the moderator, Dhanya Pailo, visual artist, VJ Decoy and film decor. Can we give her a huge round of applause? Dhanya, aka VJ Decoy, uses her filmmaking and photographic skills to create images of India that are evocative, personal and compelling. She achieves this through her expertise in visual programming, content creation, real-time mixing and set design. VJing has become more than a passion for her since her forte into the scene in 2006. In her latter years, Dhanya has been a part of international VJ collectives, beta-tested related software, represented, mixed and collaborated with DJs, musicians and a array of art enthusiasts. So ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for our moderator right here this evening. Give it up for Dhanya Pailo, ladies and gentlemen. You can please take it ahead. Thank you very, very much.
Hi. It's okay, we'll manage somehow. Hi everyone, welcome you to this panel. We have a very exciting set of people here. There's Nikunj, there's Inayat, there's Gaurav and Antonio and me, Dhanya. So we're all coming from different perspectives of how to make your experience on any kind of entertainment and any shows that you attend and how to really help bring that environment out and connect to you that you then have a better experience and leave that space completely even changed as a person. So I just wanted to briefly show you some images which is how we all usually see the audience or see the stage. Usually we're sitting at a console and we are part of the audience and we are part of what the entire space becomes. And this is usually our view. So the audience has the best seats, but we are in the spaceship part of a show. Lighting also changes space, changes the way it looks, changes the way it appears, how you move through it and how you experience it. And that's the power of video, light, and everything else that it controls. Lighting can be gentle, lighting can be aggressive, it can be magical, and it can help you move emotions. Sometimes it also interferes in your food habits, but that's the power of lighting. So in our panel, Antonio is going to represent manufacturing of light fixtures. Moebius, Nikunj is going to tell us about how he animates spaces. Inayat is going to talk about how lighting creates emotions. And Gaurav Pixton is going to talk about scenography. So Antonio, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you. So I would like to provide some feeling about Osram. Osram is a lighting company. Is 111 years already that we reinventing light. We want to use this word reinventing because light is always light. But the emotion that we can get from the light is some things that we have to reinvent day by day. I make one video for you just for provide the full information about Osram.
Today and in the past, discharge lamps, which are the traditional lamps that we use, at least in the pre-packaged product, are really the most powerful lamps that we can have access to.
The discharge line brought a whole new world in terms of photometric ability into theatre and TV and of course rock and roll.
One of the main things I'm looking for is the light output and lamp life. They're the two biggest things I need.
Ever since I was very, very young, I'm just intrigued by light and what I can do. It fascinates me how I can create pictures using light.
To do the sort of scale of work we do, we'd need thousands and thousands of units. So what we need is a one-for-all fixture that can do more than just one thing, in more than just one position, in more than just one colour.
We have been using discharge lamps in the past, and we are continuing to use discharge lamp today.
So on one hand, we are providing, very well working, but also really complex technical solutions, best performance lamps like Lockheed or Sirius. But at the end, it's all about emotions.
The key word in the future entertainment lighting is immersive technology, which involves holographic and video projections, media service and more, such as of devices which are directly connected to features and are able to simulate the behavior of the human eyes, to recognize a person and to follow it in various movements. Our mission, no doubt, is to be present in all kinds of applications. We are very confident that we make the right investment to address the Indian and the remaining Asian entertainment lighting market, which the right use and dose of light energy, songs will become more powerful, more colorful and more brilliant. The live experience will be enhanced, and that's where light will lead us to. Light is emotion. Light is Osram.
Thank you, Raya. This was the important message that I wanted to provide to you. To be present in all kinds of applications is not easy, but the entertainment is filled not only in one stage, in one theater, but in a lot of applications. In terms of installation that we made, of course, Osram will not make installation, but just to let you know, we acquire one company that produces features, is Claypaky. It's a really famous, it's a really leading company in the entertainment community. And this is because what we wanted to make is not only to provide a lighting solution, but to be present in all kind of application. This is possible only if you are from the beginning, from the end to the channel, not only for the light, but also for the features and for the components. You saw in the video that a lighting designer spoke about lamps. People thinking that lamps is something's already gone, is old. This is true, but not really true in all application. The LED is coming, we produce LED, but we continue to make a lot of application with lamps. This is because we want to provide to the market all kind of solution. Eurovision Song Contest was one installation that was done in Lisbon last month. You can see in these pictures how many lights are in the stage. That is something different between 1990, where the lights mainly go to the stage. Now the lights go out of the stage and take to the audience. And also it's important to see, I don't know, I don't have a pointer, but you see how many electronic stuff that are needed. And this means as important for the digitalization of the products, not only one product that work alone, but the kind of product that won't work together. These are the sample of the features used. Was more than 700 features in this application, based by different solution, profile, wash, beam, poor beam, because what the lighting designer like is to see a lot of white sword that come into the stage and go everywhere.
Yeah. Antonio, the most amazing thing about this photograph for me is the number of computer screens that are here, and that's the number of technicians that are required, from lighting, sound, pyro. You know, the console and the operations or technicals is so huge, and that's really what you need to run a show this big. And that's what makes the difference.
This means knowledge, capability, and also to understand that the quality is extremely important.
Yeah. So I'm assuming there'll be at least 40 technicians over here in this bottom half of this image.
Good. Just another example where the same light make an emotion in different way. Architainment is the new word, but the difference between architainment and architectural is the architainment is mainly based by lighting designer. Architectural is by designer also only. Also in these pictures you can see how many lights come from the stage. That was possible thanks to the combination between light solution and projectors.
Anyone guess how many technicians took to do this place up? Half the image is technicians.
Last but not least, I just wanted to mention the last Olympics game that was based here in Korea. Even in some event where before was only concentrated in the event itself, now the light getting more important topics and become one of the queen, not the king, but the queen of the event itself. Amazing. Also, single company like Swarovski wanted to advertise its brand and to get some nice show in his headquarters. Just, Raya, you asked me what was one of the good main application that I remember. This was not a really application, but something that for me become a futures. Is this is a new product from Claypaky. The name is jockeys. The idea is to put this product to the features, and like the human eyes, is able to recognize the movement of the people and follow them without any manual operators.
This is already out in the market?
Yes.
And how much does it cost?
No, I don't know honestly, because I'm involved in this market, but Claypaky's team that is
Contact sales teams.
is our company, but it's not.
Sorry? I can't hear you. Use the mic.
The Zakai varies between 2 lakh 75 and 3 lakhs for a single fixture. It essentially is a follow spot without an operator. It's absolutely automated. So once you feed it the path in which the person is going to cross, and then it just follows them all the way without a hitch. So from Q1, it just goes all the way. It's a phenomenal piece of equipment. Unfortunately, none of the vendors in India have it. I can promise you that. Because they have inventory of follow spots.
I think India already has a lot of stalkers. So
And also, it's far cheaper for me to keep a follow operator than to actually invest in a new lamp, a new fixture. We have enough labor.
But this is not kind of a promotion of our product. We want only to provide a feeling from the technology view. Yeah, because you know, the big difference between years ago and now is, and the idea is to become in the easy way to maintenance and move all the features together. Now we are using smartphone, tablet, and this is some things that looks to be simple. I think that many years ago, anybody believed that the digital pictures become and substitute the pictures into the paper, but this happened, and the important is to have a vision. What is the behind of the corner? And this is why we think that doesn't matter which product will be, but this is the futures. The digitalization and the connection of all the stuff, from the light, from the controller dimming, from for the speakers itself, everywhere will be connected.
if you guys have questions in the way, we can open it, right?
I would like to give our idea about if the market is buying features or rental features. For our perspective, it's not the kind of the market, but is a kind of the regions and the kind of application. I just to show you some pictures. This is our idea about the trend in entertainment market divided by regions. You see that the NAFTA market are still one important roles in this field. More than 30% become from American market. And in America, the touring and the concert field is really huge. This is why the rental company has a lot. And the people are rental features, not buying features. But if we move in the region, we come here in Asia, in the APAC. For instance, you can see in this chart, the new trend, the new application in the APAC is the theme park. The theme park need a fixed application, need some fixed features. That means people are working for project and people are buying features. It's different in Europe. In Europe, we have more or less the same balance between rental company and projects. But again, it's not kind of a market, but it's kind of application. How much is strong in some specific regions. Here is the difference chart divided by segment. You see a lot of segment inside, but it's still really important, not only entertainment, stage and theater, with entertainment. Also, cruise become very popular. Some kind of theater behind of the ship inside of the, this kind of market. That is why, as I said before, the mission of OSRA want to be present in all kind of applications. So just to provide an idea about not only Osram, but just entertainment. We are working in different markets, about 5,000 people, from the production to the marketing, from the sales, from the application engineer are working this market. We believe in this market. We invest a lot. This was why the last years we already acquired LED Engine. LED Engine is a company that make LED. Why we think that we need this company? Because we already have Opto Semiconductor, that is our producer of LED, single LED, but is always used to work in the huge number, a lot of big numbers. The market need a lot of customized product. This is why to have on board one company that is also able to develop small stuff, not huge stuff, but for some specific customer, some specific application is extremely important for us. So, even if the speaker introduced the welcome to ladies and gentlemen, I saw here a lot of gentlemen, a few ladies. And one we're talking about if there are a lot of ladies in this market, I think maybe is improving because diversity here maybe in India is still not big, but worldwide, and this is pictures, in one important award in the world that are placed in London, is Night of Illumination Award, where the all participants, we can participate in different area, and you can see into the pictures that are the picture of the winner of this year, a lot of women are inside, because as I said in the beginning, for Osram point of view, light is an emotion, and the sensitive of the ladies is getting a lot of effort in this market. And I think for this reason, year by year, we can see a lot of ladies in film directors, lighting design, and so on.
Thank you so much for that perspective.
It was really a pleasure.
And Inayat, your turn.
Okay, I start with my company's name itself, which is Sound Design, and I just, you know, it in English, as a wise man said, English is a funny language. Sound also means good. So what I really intended to put out there was not that I was a sound company or it was sound design that I was doing, but that what I do is a good design. So essentially, that's what sound design means. It was just good design. I'd, at my onset, like to ask, if anyone wants me to speak in Hindi, I'm okay with that as well, because I will be talking about light design as a fact. So, अगर कोई भी चाहे कि मैं हिंदी में बात करूं, मेरे लिए कोई तकलीफ नहीं है. अगर आपको तकलीफ हो इंग्लिश समझने में, आप चाहते हैं कि मैं कुछ चीज़ हिंदी में रिपीट करूं या कुछ चीज़ दोहराऊं, मुझे बता दीजिएगा, मैं हिंदी में बात कर लूँगा. Okay. So, essentially, I'm a lighting designer, have been one for 26 years now, where I started when something called lighting designer did not exist. We were glorified electricians. Because essentially in theater, the director was the lighting designer. What he needed was a pure operator to execute what he needed. That is all that I needed to do. I needed to choose my fixtures right, and I needed to do exactly what the director wanted. There was no designer. Designers came in much later with the advent of newer technology, with the advent of productions becoming more and more demanding, with choreography being thrown in, with a lot of other aspects, and when our competition became events. But theater and events, where lighting design is concerned, there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference because events are a one-off. You do an event, however large, 100 lights, no problem. You do an event, it's over, done with, gone, bye-bye, you go home. With theater, while designing, there are two aspects that you have to consider. One is standardization. You've got to standardize your rig. So how your play looks today is how it should look tomorrow, is how it should look day after. Whether it performs in Prithvi Theatre in Bombay or off Broadway or off West End or at the National Theatre, it should look the same. The look of the play never changes. Second is sustainability. Whatever you choose and however big or small your design is the production company, because I am employed by a production company, by a producer who produces a play. So, is that production company going to be able to sustain the cost of your light design? If my lighting design becomes too heavy, the company might lose a sold-out show. So I can't then burden a production company with that. Also, theatre is largely dependent on venue-based inventory. So when he says that people in America or Europe are essentially renting, that is what we also do, but with a difference. Theatre essentially will first take the inventory from the theatre, and only aspects which are not there will be rented. Now, if this is some of my work, this is a play called The Alchemist, based on Paulo Coelho's famous novel, The Alchemist. I come in last. The lighting designer actually comes in last in theatre. So there's a scenic designer, there's a director, the actors, they all do their job, and then I'm called in at the last minute, said, okay, this is your set, this is the actors, this is what they are doing, now start designing. Nobody asked me if I wanted those backdrops painted on muslin, being one of the worst materials to get your hands on, where every wrinkle shows, where if I hit it with light from the front, the detailing of all the painting will disappear. Nobody asked me for an opinion, and mind you, that still holds. Lighting designers don't have an opinion. They just called in. So if you saw the earlier slide, I had to use this was the first time in Indian theatre that intelligent lighting was used in place of conventional lights. Not because my producer gave me the money or because I wanted to prove a point, but purely because I was restricted by the rig. Because the curtains were based on a box truss, I could not put conventional lights close to muslin because of a safety hazard. It would cause a fire. And I had very limited space to light up the show. So I had to use intelligent lighting, which could do more than one thing. So I used spots. At that time, there were no Sharpies. And I used the LED bars to create multiple colors, to give me a color palette, because I could not use that many par cans for color. Otherwise, I would happily have done it with conventional lights. But because I was stuck, first of all, with a fabric like muslin, and then, of course, an aspect. Yeah, we can go to the next. And, of course, I changed my scales. This is a stand-up comedy show. In India, a stand-up comedy show was a stand-up comedy show with probably a flex back for his backdrop or a black backdrop. It was the first time when I did History of India that we had 218 slides, a huge projection screen, and what the comedian was trying to say also had visual content, which, like Gaurav and them, they create for us. So we started this whole cross-pollination process between events and theatre. Okay, again, the next. All right, this is a show called Blame It on Yash Raj. I don't know how many of you watch theatre, but this is a show called Blame It on Yash Raj. It's based on a wedding, it's a musical. So again, I brought in by which time I've already started doing events now as well. So I brought in elements from events, which were an LED screen for a backdrop. So 3D elements were projected on the LED screen. And I used moving lights, Sharpies, the works for the razzmatazz. Because I had to create the razzmatazz in a musical. That's what a musical is all about. So I upped the scales. Then, of course, this is a show that I directed with a famous actress called Suchitra Krishnamurthy. I don't know how many of y'all remember her. This is essentially a one-woman show. But as I say, that if a blind man was in, a visually impaired person was in the patrons, sitting for the show, he or she would never know that it's a one-woman show. Because the other voices, though recorded, come with perspective, come with all the paraphernalia of a live person speaking. So the voices are recorded. There are number of sound cues that I have to go through. But this is a one-woman show. And I went back to basics on this one. On this one, I went back to blending conventional lights with just intelligent lights thrown in for good measure. Again, I was faced with a nasty, even though I was the director of the show, I was faced with a nasty fabric of net mesh as my backdrop, which the designer insisted, which the scenic designer insisted on using. And, you know, sometimes in theater, seniority rules. Seniority by age, not by work, but pure seniority by age. We are Indians, you see. So the G aspect comes in, yeah, Han G. And you agree at times. So I was stuck, and which is why, again, you came back to that.
So I have some bad news. We've been told that our panel is going to wrap up in 10 minutes. So I'm going to skip to some of your later slides, which...
Sure. So again, this is Alchemist, which is, again, one of my favorite ones, because the camel actually is two people holding a camel head. But because I could play with muslin, it was all side lit, and only one backlight came through for the shadow. You don't really see the people there. But it's actually two people making the humps of the camel with the burlap on their head, holding a camel head to their chest. But that camel moves and it walks, and it was a huge wow factor at that time on stage to see a camel move on stage. So as lighting designers, what I aim at is always creating that wow factor. And now the wow factor has become bigger and bigger. See, yeah, you could do all this because it was all side lit. There's no frontal light really. It was all side lit. And if you can see the spots, there are essentially spots from a moving head. They're not conventional spots, which is why you have that kind of see-through. So it was the first time intelligent lights were used in place of conventional lights, a reduced rig size. Can anyone here sit, and you've seen pictures, but can you throw me a figure of what do you think were the number of lights I used for The Alchemist? Throw me a number, a random number. Come on. And I'll tell you the truth after that. A random number, anybody. 7. What? 7. Too little. 7 is too little.
30?
Yes.
30?
Too much. The entire rig was 18 lights. A full-length play done with just 18 lights. My producer thought I was crazy when I ordered 18 lights. And then when they saw the effect, it was different. Also, that reduced the cost on my production. That was very important. This is one of my latest works. This is a UNESCO site, 40 kilometers out of Ahmedabad. It is called Adalaj. It is a 7-story step well, 4 layers, and 7 stories is what it is. It's pure rock, stone. And this is where a music festival happens. So water is only in the inner sanctum out there where you see the pink blue, and everything else is just rock. When I went to this place, it was infested with bats, and the rock was filthy. I needed to pressure wash all the rocks so that you could see the detailing on the carvings, which is what I wanted to highlight. And this is different looks of Adalaj. It's 7 stories. It's a huge structure, and it's a absolute delight to light such structures. Given architectural structures like this to do a music festival are brilliant. Okay, this is our truth. In India, when a light designer comes in, his dependency is on inventory and producers. In the West, when I design a show, I get what I want as a designer. Here, the producer tells me, boss, you only have a budget of 15,000 rupees. Call for whatever you want in that much. So that changes everything. That is huge also because ultimately somewhere it curbs your creativity, but you've got to work with those parameters. Incidentally, when I was introduced about being the best light designer, do you know that the Maharashtra government puts a cap on the number of lights you use in the competition? Maharashtra government puts a top cap that you can use just so many lights to create a light design for a play. The number is 13. 1-3. If I burnt a 14th table lamp, I will be disqualified. My production will be disqualified. So with 13 lights, I am expected to light up a whole full-length play. A full-length play, essentially, in the West, would range anywhere between whatever and whatever. And I will tell you the truth about, there are only 2 ladies. In my industry, there are only 2 ladies, as I call them, and both of them extremely close to me. Zulekha Alana is one woman, and Yael Krishna is the other. It's a male-centric industry. And women don't like to come to this industry because of the wonderful language that we use. So they don't come. Yeah? Because obviously we keep late nights, or rather work overnight. Lighting designers can't work in daylight, and so they have to stay out of home. So either their husbands or their parents stop them. If you have any questions about light design, you can come back to me at a later stage, but I'll hand it over to my visual guys who are here.
Hi guys, so we have very little time, so I'm just going to quickly rip through this. I'm Nikunj Patel. I run a little operation called Studio Mobius. We do things ranging from graphic design to VJing to illustration to 2D animation. So it's a whole host of things. This is some of my illustration and digital art that usually ends up inspiring the shows I work on, the artists I work with. This is mostly, almost exclusively for music. I am a trained animator, 2D animator, so I actually work with a host of different animation mediums as well. This is, on the left is purely hand-drawn 2D, then there's some amount of 3D, and there's also a code-based generative video that I work with as well. I also work with a lot of projection mapping, but I like to mix my 2 media. Since I create content as well as projection map, I can blend the 2 together to create interesting installations and interesting rigs. Along with all of that, I am also a VJ, so I've done a fair bit of VJing at festivals and so on. And you might be able to see some of it here. This is from Magnetic Fields, which is a festival that happens in India, in Rajasthan, where we map an entire palace wall. That's on the corner here is another look that you see from the festival. Apart from that, I work on 2D animation. So this is a look at some of the work I do with when it comes to working exclusively with music. This is a short little video, just have a look at it. It was done for a record label called Nomad Records. Yeah, that was it. And so as a content designer, it's really important to realize that when you work with brands and such, it's your responsibility as the content designer to take the brand from its online presence all the way to its on-ground presence. So you have to essentially maintain brand guidelines and so on. And it's essentially a challenge in taking something that's on screen, off screen. When talking about some international trends, one thing that I noticed was trending a lot is using lasers and projection together to create unique interactive experiences. This was an installation put together by a company in Korea. One project that I want to talk about that I do yearly is this festival called Magnetic Fields Festival that happens in Rajasthan. This is essentially what the site looks like during the day, and this is what essentially we want to make it look like by night. And what goes into this is essentially we pick a wall every year. Ideally, it's a different wall. And last year's wall looked something like this. So using this map, essentially we created a whole bunch of imagery and content and animation that was inspired by the architecture as well as the physical objects that we found in the place. So using some of their visual language and branding, using just the windows, using physical effects, using depth and perception effects. So we created all this content customized for the festival. And going to the next one.
What software are you using for this?
So the content was created on Photoshop, Cinema 4D, After Effects. It's a whole host of things. We go there a week earlier prior to the festival and sit and make all the content within that week inspired by the space, and then we perform it during the festival. This was some content that was created for another stage at Magnetic Fields. Their visual language is really minimal and really modern, so all the animation work has to essentially channel that, translate that, to keep the branding of the festival consistent throughout. And then there's a lot of happy accidents, like this loop was actually a result of a glitch that I had on a software while making it, and then I just decided to keep it instead of removing the glitches. And when talking about trends when it comes to live visual shows, depth perception and working with seemingly 3D rigs is a big thing. This is a very iconic setup that was created for this artist called Eric Prides. It's called Epic 5.0. And this is a little excerpt from a teaser from the show. They use a whole bunch of see-through LEDs essentially to create depth perception, and it's fake 3D, it's not real 3D, but it feels like 3D because of the arrangement. And this concept is trending a lot right now, using planes to create a seemingly 3D effect. Going ahead, I think in India, for us, working with short throws, LED strips, water screens, and the occasional Kinect is still a little bit of a luxury, while abroad, we have a lot of community-based events like mapathons, there's a lot more showcases happening, and there's technology is advancing in leaps and bounds, but I think it's still, because the market is still a growing market, there's still time till all of these things make their way to India. When we talk about buying and renting, I personally feel like the contextual difference is if someone wants to do R&D, if someone wants to essentially abuse the technology to create art, you need to buy. When you rent, you're usually restricted a little bit to working with what you've got. And essentially, my process is pre-production, content, consolidation, production, and execution, and there are different people required for each stage of this, but I sit through all of this, and then people join me and collaborate with me at every step of the way. A couple of women in the field that I am a huge fan of are names like S. Devlin, who's phenomenal, she's a legend. Noemi Schipfer, she's a part of the studio called Nonotech. Jenny Holzer, her installation are very graphic based and a lot of text based, a lot of messaging and political art. And Liz Rhodes works with very synesthetic light music, so she essentially visualizes music in light form. And that would be about it for me. As for further discussion, I really wanted to, I feel like we need all of these things in order for our culture, visual culture, to grow. And as we have a manufacturer sitting here, I mean, I just wanted to point out that, abroad, a lot of manufacturers make their products available and collaborate with artists to essentially showcase. I think in India, that culture is still missing. So I think it would be amazing if people stepped up and let artists experiment with their gear, as well as giving their gear a platform to be truly showcased.
That's right. I would like to, Mobius, because what is happening is because of the exposure of the inventory, we guys are lacking behind. So if companies like you guys come on board, help us out with the latest inventory that you guys have, maybe like a small demo piece or something which all of us can share and promote it equally. That's how we can increase the exposure of the product as well as for the art. So it'll be great,
Okay.
Okay, I think we have to close this panel. Thank you so much. In this short time, I think we've given everyone a crash course. And when you guys are traveling, do check out all the lighting festivals in the world. They're really eye-openers. And it'll actually help you understand the potential that light has in your life, inside the house, outside the house, and your environment. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we go ahead, is there anyone who has any questions? You can ask. If any questions, you can raise your hands. And I'm sure our panel here would really love to assist you and help you out. Does anyone have any questions, any queries on the discussion that are happening right here? Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. You've really been amazing. Thank you very, very much. Let's all have a group photograph together.